This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Formula Virtual Racing. We're here this evening live from Spa-Francorchamps for, of course, the extremely famous Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a very competitive championship across all aspects. Although the championship lead might be extended, we have some drivers on some very good form. A lot of practice, a lot of pace here this evening on the grid, and a lot of expertise alongside me in the commentary booth. It is, of course, the one, the only. It is Barcelona's number one Irish fan, Brendan. How are you doing?
Doing very well. We are here for the Belgian Grand Prix, probably the best track in Formula 1. And should be very, very good, obviously. The key here is you've got to get your runs right, because being a 7,004 meters track, it's going to take a bit longer to get around than usual. So you barely get 3 runs as opposed to most tracks where you comfortably get 3, and even last year where you might get 4th.
Yeah, it is a long track. Unfortunately, Wangfei's not going to get a taste of it, because I'm not too sure why, but I think he's crashed out of the pit lane, actually. That's what it looked like, certainly. I think he's crashed out of the pit lane, and well, he's out of qualifying very early on. Ferrari tasting some success in real Formula 1 today, taking pole position since Azerbaijan, dare I say, but taking pole position since Azerbaijan in real Formula 1. Unfortunately, Ferrari are down a driver here this evening. Tyler Pastilli will be joining. I know there's only one Ferrari on the grid at the moment, but Pastilli will be joining at some point, so you can look forward to that. But it is Wangfei Anderson out of qualifying here in Spa, unfortunately, but a downturn in form since that absolute excellent Monaco qualifying. But we've got a very interesting circuit here in Spa-Francorchamps. Who should we go on board with for a lap then? Who's coming up? I believe Lewis McWilliam is coming up towards the start finish line. No, he's trundling in the middle sector. Is there anyone we can pick who we haven't maybe gone on board with? This is the most difficult thing I've ever done. I can't find someone to go on board with. We've Leo Toole, Brendan, if you want to run us through a lap. He's heading through the bus stop now.
Yep. I'll just find him there. And we can see Leo Toole heading into La Source. One of the most important corners in the lap, because it determines the arrest of this first sector. So you head downhill now, and very quickly becomes uphill through the famous Eau Rouge, and riding on a corner. Those famous corners not so much of a challenge now, but it is still going to get right. It can go wrong, because you head down the Gamma straight, you're braking here near the 50, and it's just, you need to keep it tidy, and they call it keep a solid line, allowed to count the speed and get decent distance. And through the cell, to the right and no lane. I need to touch the curbs there. If someone's wondering why, there was a trick last year we could go up onto the green stuff, but not anymore. Now through Kuon, we just come what the Eau Rouge was. And then next few corners, you just need to keep the line right, keep the minimum speed up. And now braking here for the last braking zone the lap before the bus stop. End of sector 2, you're 113.3. Now it's just flat out here, as you come up towards Blanchimont. Corner we have seen an overtake in the past, but it is very much flat out now, as long as you don't have anyone near you. And now into the bus stop. It used to be a lot quicker than this, but it's still much of a challenge. You want to keep your traction here as you come out with the final corner. And you are a 1.1.5, so that's quicker than most people so far, but I think we will have some more times to come.
Yeah, we picked a good lap for once. Usually we go on someone who bottles it, but Leo Toole to the top of the timing order. Here comes Lewis McWilliam across the start-finish line. 41 flat. Yep, we've definitely gone quicker. Lewis has done that pretty quickly. Oh, Enrique Perez is out of qualifying. He's crashed heading in towards turn 15 of Stavelot. Luke Davies, 0.6 of a second off pole in third. That's it's not really a positive lap for Luke Davies. He certainly won't be liking that one too much. Next across the start line, Sam Lewis making his debut in qualifying. He goes to fourth. He beats Liam Houseman. Liam fancies his chances around here with pace. He's been beaten by the debutant of Sam Lewis. It's another American name to add to Formula Virtual Racing history. a bit like F1, we've been taken over by the Americans a little bit in the last 2 seasons. So we've got another name, Sam Lewis. Don't worry, it's still me who runs this thing, not Americans just yet. Although if some Americans would like to invest in the series, more than welcome to. Thomas Main goes to 5th spot. Good lap there for Thomas. He's just ahead of Liam behind Sam Lewis. Borbune then heading through Puhan. Borbune usually runs well around Spa. Borbune we haven't seen for the past couple of weeks, so it's good to have Bor back with us. Let's see if he can get a good result. Himself and Timms and Hire is a very underrated lineup. I feel that's a good lineup for a track like Spa, where usually there can be a bit of chaos, certainly from a Formula Virtual Racing standpoint. So Borbune and Tim Den Hire could certainly put themselves amongst the mix. But Borbune heading up towards the bus stop chicane now. I do apologise if my mic sounds really echoey. It just feels like it is. So if it is on the stream, I do apologise for it. I checked the audio levels and they're all coming back absolutely perfect as Bor gets a first-person view of his teammate spinning while entering the pit lane. But here comes Borbune across the start-finish line. 13th, 2.6 seconds off pole position. If you wanted a field spread, you've got it here this evening in FVR. Wow, there is a big difference in pace between a lot of cars here this evening.
Indeed, very much so. Spa will do that too, for sure, because of the longer track, longer lap times, more opportunity for field spread. As you can see, a track like that, even France, which is long winding corners, you're just going to get a bit of a field spread, and that's in real life. Admittedly, the effects usually in the game aren't as pronounced, but even so, it's still, the field spread here is quite big compared to usual.
But still he's saying in the comments I'm way too close to my microphone. I'm not, it just doesn't work for some reason lately. I'm not even that close, but hold on, we'll try fix it. We'll see if that's a little bit better. I could put my microphone on 0 volume and I'd still be maxing out in the red in the audio levels. If you don't know what that means, it means it's not a good thing. But anyways, here comes Matthew Stotts. Like I've lowered my mic. Brendan, I don't know if there's any effect for you, but I've lowered my microphone tenfold and I'm still getting the same audio level, so hopefully everything is okay. But here comes Matthew Stotts heading down towards the Lake Combe chicane. Matthew Stotts, of course, very good in Qatar, got his first podium of his career and qualified very well. He's in the Alfa Romeo here this evening. Him and Investigo Badi, good chance for good points here. They're both on good form.
Yeah, always a good chance here with Spa in for points, because simply put, there are places where the cars will just go off. You'll have an incident on Rouge, or somebody will maybe go for an over ambitious movement into Lake Combe. And there's opportunities there for the drivers. At the moment, I have to say, McWilliam, it's looking fairly good for him, but I would expect this field to close up a little bit here, at least.
Okay, but still you're a waffler, because I've just checked the audio levels and I sound fine, as does Brendan, perfect as ever. Maybe the cars are a bit low, but that's a separate issue. So everything is okay. If there's any more prevalent issues, please do let me know. But Matthew Stotts heading into the bus stop chicane. Let's see what the Alfa Romeo can do then. It is turn 19 and 20, the bus stop. I imagine there was a bus stop there at some point before the track was built, but well, that's what the corner's named after. 42 flat for Matthew Stotts. He goes to 6th, to 0.953, apologies, off pole position. Lewis in his own world as per usual. And a bit of FVR news. This is the Scotsman's last race. Or so we can assume. It's not an official full retirement, but he's not going to be here for the next few races. He doesn't know which ones he's going to be able to do. So, in terms of the championship, looking very good for Luke Davies. But Lewis, yeah, this is one last time to shine, really, in this season, potentially. And we say potentially very prevalently.
Yeah, obviously, sometimes life just gets in the way for some people.
Here comes Leo Toole then for Sector 1. Oh, he's invalid. He has invalid. He was a 10.5 up, but unfortunately an invalidation for Leo Toole. As Leroy has requested to join. 1 second, folks. We're just going to get Leroy in. We'll be back in 1 second. Well, folks, that was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. You probably could have saw that on the stream, but you know. Anyways, Lewis McWilliam starts his next lap. So does Luke Davies. Here comes Luke Davies heading down the Camel Straight down towards the Lakecombe chicane of turn number 7 and 8. Not improving in that first sector. That's a worrying sign for Luke in terms of qualifying. Realistically, P3 is not a bad result here for Luke. He doesn't have to win probably any races for the end of the season because he is so far ahead in that championship, which is going to be on your screen now, folks. You can see it there. Luke Davies, 96 points. Lewis McWilliam, 49. Luke, so far, his best ever season by miles. Heading in towards Poohon now. That's a good line from Luke Davies. He's hooked that one up nicely. There should be realistically an improvement when we see the timing beam heading through the exit of 15, entrance of 16 of Stavelot and the Courve Paul Frere. But let's see as he's heading through here. Here's the timing beam. No, he's actually down on his time, is Luke. That's a bit worrying for him. He's not finding time on what was already not a great lap for him.
Yeah. You'd hope maybe it's just a race setup, but it's never really a good sign if you're losing time as the session goes on. Because then you're just vulnerable to people improving, and you can see there the lap's gone, fades into the pits, and it'll be down to a final run probably. You'd be thankful he's in the position he is for the championship, because if you had that kind of thing happening to you in the middle of a proper championship fight, and just as you say that, McWilliam 5.8, if this was if Luke Davies was embroiled in a full-on championship fight, this would not be good.
Well, that's the pole lap done. I don't think Lewis needs to come out again, really. Big lap from Sam Lewis to put himself up to second. He said to me today, he goes, "Let me race, I'm a very good driver." He's proven that so far. Second spot for Sam Lewis. Thomas Main slightly improving. Thomas, of course, from Antwerp, the city of Belgium, which is, of course, in the north of Belgium. He is a Flemish driver. But one-time winner of the Belgian Grand Prix. Thomas Main, of course, won it for Mercedes. He'd love to win here today. Let's see what he can do then across the start-finish line. Here goes Thomas Main. It's 2/10, but it's no positional improvement. He is 1,000th of a second behind his championship rival, Luke Davies. That's very interesting between those two. Liam Houseman invalidated his next lap, but he's found 1/10 of a second in the first sector. Of course, you don't find a lot of time in the first sector, simply because there's not a lot of time to find unless you've changed your setup, potentially. There's only a handful of corners, and 2 of them being flat out. That's much better for Liam Houseman. He is improving by just shy of 0.5 of a second, heading down towards Blanchimont, and then he's going to flick it in towards the bus stop chicane. Let's see what Liam Houseman can do here. Flat through that left, of course. That's going to remain flat until maybe we get some wet conditions. Of course, in Belgium it rains an awful lot. Oh, he's abandoned it. Into the pit lane comes Liam Houseman. That's a weird one.
Well, I suppose if you're going to abandon, it's now. Otherwise, you'd be gone for their session then.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Brendan. I agree with that one. Do let me know in the stream chat if my mic is fixed, because I have no way of telling. Thomas Main on his in-lap as well. Good qualifying so far by Rick de Bray. The Dutchman is going to be replacing Enzo King for the month of September. I believe Enzo is on some travels in Germany, or at least he was in Signal Iduna Park last night for Dortmund's 2-2 draw with Heidenheim. But no, I don't stalk him. But no, Rick de Bray is going to be replacing Enzo King in this Mercedes. Rick, unfortunately, was feeling quite unwell yesterday, but he has made it here this evening, so good to see Rick soldiering on. He's feeling a lot better if you are interested in the well-being of Rick de Bray. He's not improving on this lap, though, but I believe that's because he's backed off it. Keep an eye on Tyler Pistilli as well. He's on his usual programme, doing a load of qualifying laps. He's going to do one more here, I believe, and well, he's not going to have time to come into the pits after this one. And get back out, so this is probably his last attempt, really. I think he might have mistimed this a tad, but yeah, unfortunate there for Tyler Pistilli. He's not raced in quite a bit, so we may have unfortunately a bit of a pace deficit for poor Tyler Pistilli. Matthew Stott's improving on his time. He's currently in 6th spot for Alfa Romeo, and no time on the board yet from last week's pole sitter, Avesta Gobadi. he has not put a time on the board yet. He's in 17th. Quite like Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, thank you, Pistilli, for telling me my mic is good. Maybe that's why he's down the back. But, yeah. Avesta quite likes this Spa track. It would be an absolute travesty if he was to only start 17th. As we've lost Brendan, unfortunately. Here comes Matthew Stotts into the bus stop chicane. Across the start-finish line goes Matthew Stotts. It's an improvement. It's only 6th position. Jake Marsh finding time in the first sector. His FVR debut was in a Williams around Spa-Francorchamps. Unfortunately, he's invalidated a lap. Oh, Brendan's completely gone now. You heard that yourself on the Discord notification. Keep an eye on Andrew Davis as well. He's going to pick up a bit of a slipstream here from one of the Alfa Romeos. Stotts is heading through Radion, so that's Avesta Gobardi, who he has overtaken. I'm going to keep an eye on the whereabouts of my co-commentator. No, he's not joined back yet. Hopefully we can get Brendan back in. Oh, there's Brendan. Brendan, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you now, Brendan. That's all good.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Good to have you back with us. Tyler Pistilli now going for a push lap, I believe. Leo O'Toole is on a push lap. Let's see his first sector, improving by a 10th, so that's good for Lee O'Toole. Lewis McWilliam starting his final run of the session, as is Luke Davies. Luke slightly ahead. Thomas Main is going to be close to getting it across the line. No, still 54 seconds left in this session. Stott still circulating round. Jake Marsh going to get another lap on the board as well. There goes Andrew Davis across the start-finish line. It's only good enough for 10th. Himself and Jurgensmeyer, not great in qualifying. Very good race drivers, so definitely keep an eye on them over the full race distance, which will be 22 laps. Tim Denhire braking for the Lake Combe chicane. We've lost Brendan again. Hopefully we can get him back in as Tim Denhire heads in towards Malmedy now. He was up by 0.28 or thereabouts. Lost a bit of time potentially heading into Bruxelles. How's our top runners doing? Luke Davies now finally finding time in the first sector. Lewis McWilliam not. Let's see what Sam Lewis can find in the first sector. Of course, the first sector split on the braking zone of turn 7, the Lake Combe chicane. Here comes Sam Lewis braking. He's found time, has Sam? So good first qualifying this for Sam Lewis. Leo O'Toole finding time in the second sector. He was almost 0.2 of a second up. Rotates it into the bus stop. Very slidey on the exit of the corner. Leo O'Toole onto the front row of the grid. He is improved to a 41.3 for Lee O'Toole. How's Avesta Gobardi doing as well? He is still on a push lap. Let's keep an eye on Luke Davies. Luke has found 0.2 of a second. He'd like to get on the front row here, you'd feel, but he's going to have to beat his stand-in teammate Sam Lewis. Con Dulger unfortunately dropped out minutes before the race, but thankfully we had Sam Lewis on hand, and I think Luke will be very happy with his teammate replacement for this evening. Here comes Luke Davies braking for the bus stop chicane. It doesn't need to be a pole lap, but he would like a few more positions here, I think, to feel comfortable. Denhire goes to 7th. Here comes Luke Davies across the start-finish line. What's the time going to be? 41.4, third position for Luke Davies, second row on the grid. Lewis McWilliam extends the benchmark to a 40.7. Avesta Gobardi will start at best as 17th, could be 18th if Leroy Van Schendel beats him. What about Sam Lewis heading through the bus stop chicane? What can he do here, heading through the final couple of corners? This would be magical if it was a front row on his debut. Here's Sam Lewis across the line. It is a front row on his debut for Sam Lewis. Second spot, 0.591 off pole. Not necessarily the biggest thing to celebrate, but he is up against the mighty Lewis McWilliam, so that is a big achievement for Sam Lewis. Here comes Thomas Main coming towards the start-finish line. What can he do? Can he beat Luke Davies here? Oh, he can! Knocks Davies down a peg. Main and Davies will be separated by 1 row. That is quite crucial maybe for Thomas Main in this championship. Jurgensmeyer a little bit too hot into the chicane. It was 6th for Leroy Van Schendel. Excellent lap for Leroy. Jurgensmeyer goes to 11th. Adrian Tishy goes to 14th. That's qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. An interesting one. There's a lot of mix-up in that grid. Unfortunately, you are on mute, Brendan. Hopefully we can get that sorted, but here is your full qualifying results. It is Lewis McWilliam ahead of Sam Lewis, Lee O'Toole, Thomas Main, Luke Davies, Leroy Van Schendel, Matthew Stotts, Jake Marsh, Liam Houseman, Tim Den Haar, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Rick DeBray, Andrew Davis, Adrian Tishy, Bor Bune, and then it is Xavier Maynard on debut as well. Then it is Tyler Pistilli 17th, Avesta Gobadi in 18th, Wongfi Anderson and Enrique Perez down the bottom of the order. Folks, the Belgian Grand Prix is coming up after this short commercial break, and pay attention to this one. This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, ladies and gentlemen. That's Spielberg. That's on your screen. That's not Spa. So we're just going to cut to the race start. Good timing as well. Here we go then. We're on the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. And we go racing here in Belgium. That's a good launch from Lewis McWilliam. Good start for Sam Lewis on the front row. Great start for Lee O'Toole. Up the inside in towards turn number 1. Luke Davies overtakes his championship rival Thomas Main. Main looking for the move. Here heading up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Van Schendel fighting with Matthew Stott. There was a poor start for Bor Bune. We saw the half spinning in the background. Up Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time we go. Thomas Main looking to have a go at Luke Davies potentially. There's weaving up the front. Sam Lewis is going for the race lead round the outside of the Scotsman and Lewis McWilliam on his debut. He's going for Broke, but Broke unfortunately sends him down the order. Lee O'Toole gets past Luke Davies up the inside and towards Malmedy. Gives the McLaren a wide berth. Sam Lewis on the curb on the outside of Malmedy. Thomas Main up the inside. Leroy Van Schendel up the inside. Oh, there's a front wing end plate gone. That's from Matthew Stotts' Alfa Romeo Sauber, I believe. Sam Lewis falling down the grid after an unbelievable race start. Stotts being pushed wide, yet the end plate is definitely gone off his Alfa Romeo Sauber. Very wide for Pujon. Just got to bring that one back to the pits. There will be safety cars in this Grand Prix. He's just got to bring that one home, and round goes Matthew Stotts down the order. Awful unfortunate for him. Sam Lewis picking up some spaces. Den Heyer is the man who he's got past. Jurgensmeyer in 9th. Marsh down 2 and 10th. The biggest gainer so far in this Grand Prix. Well, that is a numerous amount of drivers. It's actually Avesta Gobadi now, but it was Xavier Maynard and Avesta Gobadi. Here comes Gobadi looking to get past Pistilli. They're free abreast heading in towards Blanchimont. Gobadi going to go for Broke round the outside of 2 of them. Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. Avesta Gobadi with the move round the outside. That's magical. That's unbelievable from Avesta. Adrian Tishy breaks late into the bus stop chicane. Maynard doesn't know what's just hit him. Neither does Tyler Pistilli. That's a brilliant move from Avesta Gobadi round the outside of Blanchimont. That is the ultimate question of who is the bravest. Gobadi comes out on top, but Lewis McWilliam still leads the Belgian Grand Prix.
Oh, well, that is a very chaotic lap one, but everyone seems to have survived except for Matthew Stotts, so good news for 19, bad news for 1. But let's see, McWilliam, he hasn't or didn't qualify, so
the minute, hopefully it all sorts itself out. Hold on, I think it has. I think the solution when we start losing frames on an FVR stream is to put my laptop on top of a pen, because it works every single time without fail, and I don't know why. Here we go then. Avesta Gobadi overtaking Adrian Tishy. That's for 12th spot. Pistilli is now behind his fellow Canadian. Seems like the hard tyre, not a great one to start out here. It seems like the hard tyre is not doing too well. Jurgen's Mayer went for the softs, meaning we have all 3 compounded tyres in play. They're on your screen on the left hand side anyways, folks, you can have a look for yourselves. But it is Leo Toole keeping with Lewis McWilliam at the front.
Yeah, I think he has a very quick car in a straight line, and this could come into play a lot here. I think McWilliam's the faster car overall, but in the right, Leo has the faster car in the good areas.
Yeah, I think you could be right with that one, because he does gain a lot on the straights, where McWilliam would be a lot better through the corners. We saw through the bus stop, Lewis McWilliam getting a much better launch. But here comes Leo Toole heading up Rouge and Radion. Let's ride on board with the AlphaTauri and see just how good in the just how good in the straights is this man. He's gaining and gaining. Oh, that's a monster. That's the quickest an AlphaTauri's ever gone. Leo Toole leads the Belgian Grand Prix here in Formula Virtual Racing. He was 0.6 of a second behind heading down Eau Rouge. That car is the ultimate epiphany of straight line speed, and Lewis McWilliam is just going to have to settle behind into Malmedy. That's not ideal for Lewis. He's got Luke Davies right on his bumper on a better compound of tyres. This could get very interesting heading down the back straight in towards Blanchimont and the bus stop. Luke Davies is well entitled to have a go here with Lewis McWilliam, as that's Rick Debray. Debray is losing spots quickly. Is there damage for the Mercedes? I'm not too sure what's happened for Rick Debray, but he's lost a handful of spaces and he's down to 17th. Pistilli and Matthew Stott are both into the pit lane. I'm going to presume it is for damage. We saw Pistilli a little bit slow heading in towards the campus chicane of 13 and 14, so I think that could be what happened to Tyler Pistilli. Let's see, is it just a slipstream thing, or is it a genuine straight line speed advantage for Leo Toole? Slipstream definitely has its benefits, but Leo Toole is a very quick car in a straight line, because you can see McWilliam almost struggling to get up alongside the AlphaTauri. There's a yellow flag in the middle sector. That's Adrian Tishy who is falling to the back. He's fallen to Andrew Davis. O'Toole goes wide. Leo Toole has ran wide for the bus stop chicane. He's hooked it up for the second bit, to be fair to him, but he's still going to be very vulnerable heading down the Kemmel Straight. McWilliam could look to soar past here. Luke Davies plays his... Oh, McWilliam up the inside. It's another lock-up for Leo Toole. O'Toole maybe tactically wanting the slipstream, but McWilliam had already committed to the corner. Rick Debray and Adrian Tishy tripping over each other in the background. Play your cards right here, Luke Davies. You could be in the lead of this race come the end of this Kemmel Straight. Here comes McWilliam soaring up through Raddy on Leo Toole now, looking to get the slipstream. Davies tucks it behind McWilliam, knows he's arguably the quicker car. Now, there's a triple crash on the straight. Lewis McWilliam goes spinning out of control. Leo Toole, no front wing. What's happened to Luke Davies? He's come out unscathed. Luke went for the middle of the two of them. They both sort of moved to defend it. Now Lewis is in the wall. Lee has no front wing. The Belgian fans won't mind that in the slightest. Their home hero leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Controversy on lap 4.
Oh dear. I
think that one could be on Luke Davies, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I don't think he was entitled to go for the middle there, Leo Toole. I don't really know how he's just done what he's did. He's just bolted it round the outside of Pouhon, like Ross Chastain did in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Well...
Den Heyer and Jurgensmeyer. That's not a pretty one for Tim Den Heyer. Jurgensmeyer spins round. I think Den Heyer knows it. He slowed up a little bit, maybe to acknowledge what's just happened, but Jurgensmeyer spins round, and on soft tyres that will be feeling pretty shot as it is. He won't like that in the slightest. Davies looking to get up towards Maine. This, if you could imagine Luke Davies when he goes to sleep, and imagine the ultimate nightmare, it's this. He's in the middle of two Aston Martins, that are not necessarily his biggest fans. They won't be getting Davies number... What number is he? 95 or is it 5? He's 95 or 5 anyways. I think it's number 5. But they certainly won't be getting Davies 5 on the back of an FVR jersey by Simulus Clothing. What's Thomas going to do here? Is he just going to let him past and work with the young Brits? Maybe. But here comes Luke Davies. Look at Leroy Van Schendel in the background. He's trying to do what Davies did the last time, except maybe not as badly, but Luke Davies is up and into the lead of this Grand Prix heading through Lake Combe. The two Aston Martins will just sit behind. This is a very interesting one for the constructors' battle. Mercedes are gone pretty much at this point. They're just gone out of this race, 15th and 18th, but you can never count out Lewis McWilliam in a Grand Prix like this. If there's a handful of safety cars, he's well within this race still. But this is very interesting for the constructors. It's McLaren 1-4, Aston Martin 2-3.
Well... Davies now, yeah, it's not in the best situation. You've got these two Aston Martins who don't exactly, they're not exactly going to send him a Christmas card. And then he's got a penalty hanging over his head. Also, the fact that there's one of his teammates there, he's in fourth, and he's got a penalty hanging over his head, so it doesn't matter. So, like, what? It's you, and especially since the grid's close enough, you could be sent down to maybe 7th with the way it's going at the moment.
Yeah, and then Spa, usually come the end of the race, we get a lot more safety cars, and then one safety car will breed another. It could be a bit of a disaster by Luke Davies, but he's got to try putting that behind for the remainder of this race and get the best result that he can. But certainly if Luke wins this race, it's not going to be confirmed until that steward's briefing is sent out, that's for sure. Leroy Vinchendel, got to say, he's doing a very good job, considering he had to set up a new account while everyone else was doing qualifying. So he's doing well in 3rd position, as is Thomas Main in 2nd. This would be a great way for Thomas to win his first race. He's unfortunately suffered with confidence, certainly. He's not suffering for confidence now. Up the inside goes Thomas Main, and round he goes! Suffering with a lot more than confidence issues now. He's parked it on the edge of Lake Holme after trying to dive Luke Davies. That is 110% Thomas Main's own fault.
Yeah.
What was he thinking? Really, what was he thinking?
You saw what happened. You could have sat back there and just either passed on the straight or sat behind. There was benefits there to be had.
That's a very silly decision. That's a really, really silly decision from Thomas Main. He was in such a brilliant position in this Grand Prix to go on and win it and outscore Luke Davies, which is what he's got to do. I don't think there's much of a chance he's going to outscore Luke Davies now from this point, certainly before any sort of a penalty is applied by the post-race stewards, but we'll wait and see. We'll leave all penalty talk in the past. Or from my opinion and what I saw, Luke Davies isn't going to get one for that incident with Thomas Main. Certainly, that was just reckless from Thomas. I'm not really too sure why he tried to dive it up the inside. He's instantly probably going to point the finger to Luke. Sam Lewis! Oh, Sam Lewis! Oh no! That one's... Oh, this is incident heaven here in Spa-Francorchamps. Sam locked the brake, tried to get it sideways, and Jake Marsh just opportunistic, dived up his inside. But unfortunately, Sam was still trying to make the next corner and tried to give it a wide berth and hook in, and unfortunately, he's gone round. Vestagovadi's 5th in this Grand Prix, just in case anyone didn't notice, with the very interesting last few laps. So he could try win 2 on the bounce here and become the actual challenge to Luke Davies. Leroy, though, going for the race lead. Leroy Vinchendel takes the race lead here in Spa-Francorchamps. If Leroy Vinchendel could get a win on the board here in Belgium, that would be truly something. But, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is out. He's crashed at a Rouge, and that's the safety car. Is that a 2-car collision for Jurgensmeyer? No, I think he's just gone off himself, actually. Where is Jurgensmeyer's car? It's gone now, but I could not actually see it.
Radion, I think.
Oh, that's the 2 non-point scoring finishes for last season's rookie of the season, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. And Leroy timing that move to perfection. He leads the safety car period. Surely if you're on a medium here, Brendan, you're going to be pitting for hearts to the end.
Yeah, now's the time. You may as well you take the hit, whatever the hit may be, from having to be on the tire for slightly longer. It'll be alright because you'll have safety car laps. The fact you can get the tyres warmed up under safety car. Yeah,
it's not been a Rolls Royce of a race so far, if that makes any sense to you. It's not been the cleanest of Grand Prix, and usually when it's not the cleanest of Grand Prix, that means there's going to be plenty of opportunity in a race like this. Certainly, if your name is Jake Marsh, or Liam Houseman, or Vestagovadi. Vesta, of course, won last week, but Jake and Liam have not won in quite a while. Jake only has 1 win, and that was in Season 5. Liam has not won since he became a hybrid of the great Michael Schumacher and Ayrton Senna for 2 races in the middle of Season 7 in USA, or Season 8, in USA and in Singapore. And quite interestingly here, Liam Tim, and Enrique Perez have stayed out, and Luke has jumped Leroy Van Schendel in the pit lane. Well, I think I know exactly what Aston Martin are going to call Luke after this race. And I think pretty much anyone does. And it begins with an L, and it ends in Ucky. Because
I think I have a different one for you there. Take his name at an F.
What would it be? Fluke Davies, they're going to call him.
Yeah. Suppose you can't spell Fluke without Luke.
To be fair to Luke, it's not luck that's won his races this season, but he's had the rub of the green here today. No, we all love Luke, and calling him Fluke Davies is purely just for joking purposes. Luke calls him himself. He calls me and Brendan much worse. I can tell you that. He calls me and Brendan much worse when we call him Fluke Davies, and I mean rightly so. We deserve it. But Luke ahead of Leroy. Leroy's going to be like a raging bull here in this race, I can tell you that for free. Lewis McWilliam back up to 12th here. He didn't pit, stayed out in his tyres and has gone for track position. Good approach for Lewis McWilliam. Thomas Main is behind Sam Lewis. Sam is going for a 2-stop. He's gone for the softs. That's, I would say probably, but I think the answer is definitely the wrong call. Unless we get another safety car. If we get another safety car, he's an absolute genius. But it's risky. But probably not far-fetched, considering the way these first 8 laps have gone.
Yeah, if you get a late enough safety car, or maybe a safety car just on the other side, like, in terms of symmetry, won't be lap 8, maybe lap 14, you have pit stop, everyone's then in for maybe a set of mediums. It works out fine. So, Houseman, well, they'll have another lap, I believe, under safety car.
Oh, he has. He has. He's going to lead a lap on the safety car.
Oh yeah, Houseman's leading a race for what was the first time since who knows
since
when.
Belgium last season. He led the first 4 laps and then crashed on his own, I believe.
Oh.
But a round of applause for Liam Houseman, ladies and gentlemen. He's led another lap here at FVR, and we're very proud of him. No, fair play to Liam. He's kept going even when the goings got tough, and. Look, he's leading on lap 9, but unfortunately still has a pit stop to go. He obviously didn't feel the medium was a good choice till the end of this race. He obviously felt that would put him out of contention in this one, so he's not pit. Den Heyer and Enrique Perez, I'm going to assume, are going to try stay long for softs come the end of this Grand Prix. Jurgens Meyer was on the softs, obviously, in the early parts of the race, and they didn't look to be doing too bad. Might not be the worst call.
It's an option. It definitely is a good option. Maybe, or if you know how to work it, it can become a very nice option. Particularly if you get another safety car later on. You gain places, then you pit for fresher tyres, and you're just creating a bunch of offsets against those ahead of you.
Look, I think we're in for a very interesting end to this race. I think this is probably the best opportunity since the start of the season for a very random race winner. It's not often in FVR that you do get a random winner from somewhere down the field, purely because the nature of league racing, where everybody is in their own sort of bubble. You have the quickest, then you'll have the midfielders, and then the backmarkers. Or certainly that's the way FVR does it. Obviously in other leagues you would have sort of a tiered pay system. We don't really care how quick you are. If you want to race, you like racing, you're clean, please, you're more than welcome to join. And that's more likely than not always the attitude we'd have, unless there's some complete obscene outside circumstance. Then unfortunately we might have to respectfully decline. But no, certainly you don't get random winners often in this league, but when they come, it can be quite magical. I can't really think of the last random winner we've had. I think it's probably got to be maybe Liam Houseman in Texas, although he was really good in that race. I think he's got to be the most random winner we've had in quite a bit. Before that, we've had many a random winner. We had Aaron win that one random Monaco race. We had Lars Assink win a race as well in Monaco for McLaren. But yeah, certainly this is going to be a very interesting... you've seen Sadfi maybe at Belgium. That might be another random one. But Preston Brennan at Imola, we've had a few. But right, here we go then. Let's get back on the agenda. It's the first safety car restart here in Spa-Francorchamps. It's going to be conducted by Liam Houseman, and we go racing once again here in Belgium. You can't overtake until the start-finish line. Liam knows that. He's going to try to get the jump on Tim Den Haar. These two are good friends as much as they bicker, so they will no, they won't work together at all here, but we'll see what happens as we head down toward La Source for the first time. Liam Houseman does get a good getaway. Here comes Avesta Badi looking up the inside of 2-1 and 2 and hits Luke Davies round. The McLaren has gone spinning. Avesta Badi hits the side of Luke Davies. Matthew Stotts retires from the Grand Prix. They're side by side heading up Eau Rouge. Luke's got to keep it cool and calm here. There's a little bit of contact between himself and Leroy. Wong-Fee Anderson goes the long way around the outside, and Wong-Fee in 9th spot. Avesta dived up the inside of Luke. That was I think he just completely misbraked, if I'm honest, because it looked a very weird incident from Avesta Badi. But the highest man who has pit is Sam Lewis. Yeah, here comes Lewis McWilliam.
Van Trendle here very soon.
Oh!
He's got... Then he has it done.
No, he doesn't! Oh, has a tank slapper and clobbers into the wall. Lewis McWilliam will be very lucky to avoid damage. Sam Lewis is up to 3rd spot here in this Grand Prix. This is one way to make your name in Formula Virtual Racing. Jake Marsh gets past Enrique Perez as well. The tyre advantage huge here in FVR.
Well,
Thomas Main, Luke Davies side by side. Luke loses the spot to Thomas Main. Does Luke have damage here? He could well do. That seemed like it was a very easy move for Thomas Main, unless Luke is just going to let him through and just hope Thomas goes and muddles things up in front with Avesta Badi. Sam Lewis gets past Tim Den Haar. He's in 2nd here in this Grand Prix. This soft is much better than any tyre on the field. Avesta certainly has damage from clobbering into the side of Luke Davies. Either he has damage or he's just let Luke through, which is very sporting of him, and I will give that to Avesta Badi. That is a very respectful act to do. You 110% will probably still get a penalty. That's very dangerous. That's I don't understand these people. So sometimes we were just complimenting Avesta Badi, and then he just cuts across 4 cars to get into the pit lane. Don't do that. That's not sporting in the slightest. But Tim Den Haar now looking to attack Jake Marsh, heading up Eau Rouge and ready on. Spa
Marsh could win this Grand Prix.
Yeah, Marsh could definitely win this Grand Prix. Here comes Tim Den Haar though, trying it around the outside, trying the long way around the outside. This is not what part of Jake's plans. Heading up towards the Lacombe chicane. Marsh pushing Tim Den Haar. Does Jake Marsh get it done? He does. Good move. Brendan saying he has the grip. Absolutely 100% through. Look at Luke Davies and Thomas May heading through Malmedy. These are 2 championship battlers, former teammates, most certainly rivals now. Davies up the inside into the Bruxelles hairpin. Thomas Main holding it round the outside. He'll have the inside line for X curve. Davies still on the outside. Davies needs to avoid the wall. It's so close between the pair, but Luke Davies excels and comes out on top here in this battle. What a battle between the two. Leo Toole out of the Grand Prix. He's hit the wall, and X curve. Lewis McWilliam gets past Enrique Perez. Main.
It's manual retirement.
Oh, it is a manual retirement. Oh, that's I'm not sure why he's done that, but he's manual retired. Luke, Thomas and Lewis very close on circuit here in this Belgium Grand Prix. Leo Van Schendel probably going to be overtaken, but for the race lead, Sam Lewis looking for the race lead here in Spa-Francorchamps. Those tyres probably aren't going to make the end for Sam Lewis, so he's still in a little bit of a bad position, but he's certainly making this one work. This is a crazy Belgian Grand Prix. I'm not sure if it's brilliant, I'm not sure if it's bizarre, but it's certainly somewhere in between the two. Nils Hartle in the stream chat saying, the one race I'm sick, it's chaos. Yeah, Nils unfortunately missing a bit of a corker here in Spa-Francorchamps. There's a lot of battles to keep an eye on as we head up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radillon, named after the Eau Rouge Creek Valley to the east of the circuit. Here comes Sam Lewis trying it ready outside, but here comes Jake Marsh in Sebastian Vettel style. He gets the job done. What an overtake from Jake Marsh. He went for it Mika Hakkinen style up the inside as well. Went for the both of them. Jake Marsh leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Thomas Main goes spinning down the order once again. Thomas left dejected. Brendan, did you catch what happened?
Is another spin in Lake Home. I'm not sure what caused it, but it could well have been just contact with someone else. You'd have to assume it was with how close the cars are.
They say learn from your mistakes. Unfortunately, Thomas Main has not. But here we go, heading into Puhan, lap 12 of 22. My goodness me, this has been utterly obscure, utterly obscene, and I think I'm running out of words to describe what this race has been so far. The top 5 is Jake Marsh, Sam Lewis, Liam Houseman, Luke Davies and Leroy Vinchendel. The top 3 have never stood on an FVR podium together. None of them have been on the podium this season. Jake and Liam have been off it for a long time, and Sam Lewis has never been on it because this is his debut race. If you could describe Formula Virtual Racing, the history of the 10 seasons, in a race, it would probably be this one.
Oh, well, Vesta's now had insult injury there. That's at 3 seconds. It's not going to exactly help them. We have a great battle here between Adrian Tishy and Rick Debray. Tishy's got the upper hand for now, but Debray may be able to get back at him.
Yeah, let's see what Rick Debray can do. Rick has come on in leaps and bounds since he first raced in Formula Virtual Racing, which was a while ago. It was always a one-off appearance, mostly in the Formula Virtual Racing Academy, obviously the former Formula Virtual Racing Academy. Here comes Luke Davies. He's up past Liam Houseman, Wongfi Anderson, battling with the 2 Haas cars. They all 3 have Ferrari power units in them. You may notice a bit of a different livery for Wongfi Anderson. That's, of course, the real livery Ferrari are running this weekend at the Italian Grand Prix. It's to commemorate Ferrari's win at Le Mans. Wongfi Anderson certainly has that winning mentality, and he's now up to 7th, past the 2 Haas cars. Leroy Vinchendel looking to catch Liam Houseman. I think Liam, Sam, and who else was it? Tim Denhire and Enrique Perez are both hoping for a safety car very soon in this Grand Prix. They've got a virtual one right on cue. That's Avesta Gobadi, who has spun round through Malmedy and has hit the wall.
Yeah, that would be. This actually, virtual safety cars are only worse than the full because you're waiting for that period where you get going and sometimes just get caught out. We'll have to watch for that because someone here could get caught out, and if that happens,
yeah, it's very, very corner dependent as well. It's it drops and gets higher in some corners, so they got to watch out for this. I'm more intrigued here. Is Sam Lewis going to come into the pit lane? He is. He goes in. So does Liam Houseman. They're not willing to risk it any longer, and realistically, with the way this race has... Oh, Lewis into the pit lane as well. So, Luke's back up to 2nd. But there is a huge deficit between himself and Jake Marsh. We are still at VSC. Sometimes it can say VSC, but it's a full safety car. This is definitely a VSC. There's no safety car on circuit. And we should be going racing soon. Usually that little flash is an indication that the drivers are preparing to go green flag running. Wongfi Anderson up to 4th. Now it is Marsh, Davies, Vinchendel, Anderson, Bune. We go racing once again, and thankfully nobody has been caught by the safety cars. Houseman and McWilliam both went for the mediums, and then it was Denhire, Perez and Menard who went for the softs. Sam Lewis went for the hards, and I really don't know why, but he's gone for the hard tires, so that unfortunately could be the beginning of the end for Sam Lewis. Certainly Liam Houseman will be looking to catch and pass the debutant here in this Grand Prix. Jake Marsh has just got to control this one from here to the end of this race, and he could become an FVR winner once again.
And a reminder, Luke, for that instant that does seem like an age ago now.
It really does.
He might have something hanging over his head there, so Leroy, he'll want to keep up there, because if he was to catch Jake Marsh along with Luke Davies, there's a chance of a Grand Prix win there for him.
And so, Enrique Perez has crashed a Puhan. This is going to be a safety car. Yeah, it is. It's a safety car. If your name is Liam Houseman, you're screaming. But it is a safety car. Oh, now there is a dilemma. Does Jake Marsh pit for softs? He does. Into the pit lane he goes. There's got to be someone who stays out here. Davies pits, Vinchendel pits. Borbune well back. These 3 could still get out and go baddy. Oh. Yeah, you can hear the sigh of disgust from myself and Brendan. That's not good for Avesta Gobadi. He's picked up a drive-through penalty, which cannot be served under safety car. You got to wait till after it. Marsh should come out in the lead of the race here because he's not going to be held up by anyone because he is in the last pit box. No. Sam Lewis leads this Grand Prix. Is Liam Houseman going to get second? This could be close. Marsh on the exit of the pit lane. Where is Houseman going to come out? He's going to come out behind Davies. But he is on the worst tyre. That's so unfortunate for Liam Houseman. Look who's just arrived in 5th, though. He's inevitable. Yeah, he's inevitable. Lewis McWilliam, he just always manages to get back up to the front. I don't understand it, but you're running order now with the majority of cars out of the pit lane. It's Sam Lewis, Jake Marsh, Luke Davies, Liam Houseman, Lewis McWilliam, Leroy Van Schendel, Tim Den Heyer, Xavier Menard. Then it is Wongfi Anderson and Adrian Tishy. It's then Rick Debray, Borbune, Andrew Davis, Thomas Main, Tyler Pistilli and Avesta Gobadi with a drive-through to serve. He doesn't have a drive-through to serve anymore because he's retired out of the Grand Prix. But yeah, we're down to 15. Your non-finishers are now Avesta Gobadi, Enrique Perez, Lee O'Toole, Matthew Stott and Jonathan Jurgens Mayer. I really don't know who wins from here.
I think Thomas Main has had a complaint about was it Tim Den Heyer, so maybe that was what caused his earlier incident.
Yeah, that could be a suggestion. We're not going to tell you what Thomas said because we quite like having our YouTube channel. But
yeah, we do.
He's not happy. He's not happy. The YouTube channel has been doing very good lately, thanks to your brilliant support at home. So yeah, we're not going to be saying anything. Nils Hartle in the chat saying insert Thanos meme. I'm not a fan of the Avengers, but I believe that is the quote. I am inevitable. Or it could just be clicking the fingers like that and killing every car. It could be that either, but I think it's the I'm inevitable one. Describing this man,
both.
Lewis McWilliam.
I think it is both. Because he says the phrase and then it's a snap.
Oh, look at me with the Avengers knowledge.
Yeah,
look, I'm getting better. I'm getting more pop culture. I've worked with a few of these influencer people. I'm getting better at this sort of stuff now. Your Avengers, your popular singers, your actors. Like I know who David Harbour is now after the Gran Turismo movie, which I'm very proud of. But yeah, this is a bit of a safety car waffle, isn't it? I don't think I've read some fun facts really today, so I'm going to have a look at those. We didn't really get a chance to go through the track because the race started so quickly. I do miss not having formation laps because we used to be able to have a right proper discussion before the races, but unfortunately that's not the case anymore. 7.004 kilometre circuit, 4.352 miles with 20 corners. If you could name one single corner where we've not had a controversial moment this race, you could win a prize. No, I'm only joking, of course. Let's, we don't have the funds for that yet. Let's take a look at our championship standings then. It is Luke Davies on top on 96 points, then it is Lewis McWilliam, Thomas Main, Jonathan Jurgens-Mayer and Avesta Gobadi. That's going to be completely changed, I have a feeling, come the end of this Grand Prix. And have you heard about our latest little announcement here in Formula Virtual Racing? We now have our official merchandise line. You can get yourself a t-shirt, you can get yourself a hoodie, you can get yourself a phone case. We have a water bottle. I quite like a cup of tea in the evening, so we have an FVR mug for that. We also have some new stuff that will be coming at some point, but oh, hold on, I forgot something. We have a baseball cap as well, so if the back of your neck gets burnt and you want something to cover it, or the front, you can look super swag, as the kids would say. Didn't go to a Luke Davies on board shot first joke there, that was just coincidental, but as the kids would say, you can get yourself some FVR merchandise. This has been a mess of a race, not only from the drivers but from my commentary.
Oh, well, yeah, so just remember, as the kids would say, it's a shame we don't have a quote from Luke Davies ready to go, because that could be prioritised for later.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Alfa Romeo double DNF this evening, unfortunately, but there is one Alfa Romeo driver who will be partying. A very happy birthday to Yathan Panguru, who is watching the stream. A very happy birthday to Yathan, and we hope you are having a good evening. He had a Formula 1 cake. I'm so jealous. My birthday's in July. I didn't get a Formula 1 cake. I just had a chocolate one. I was very jealous. But, right then. Let's get back to the mess then. That was a nice little random break we had in the action. And you're going to need it, because I have a feeling this is going to be action-packed for the remainder of this Grand Prix. It's Sam Lewis, who is going to conduct his first ever safety car restart here in Formula Virtual Racing. He's taken it a bit quicker than Houseman was, but not always necessarily a bad thing. Does have to wait until the safety car gets into the pit lane though. It's not quite there just yet. He's heading through Blanchimont now. Let's see when he goes. Jake Marsh gets caught out as we go racing once again here, heading into the bus stop chicane. Jake just needs to defend from Luke and hope Luke, Houseman and McWilliam start tripping over each other so Jake can have an attack on Sam Lewis. We know how powerful Slipstream is up that Kemmel straight. There is no DRS just yet, but we will wait and see what happens. Exiting the corner, Luke Davies gets a poor exit. Jake Marsh gets an absolute flyer. He's on the back of Sam Lewis here, heading up through Eau Rouge and Radillon. The Williams is going to go for this one on the fellow British car in the McLaren. Let's see what he can do. Trying it, is it going to be the outside or the inside from Marsh? Marsh goes for the outside, has the overspeed, heading in towards last, or Lake Home I should say. Jake's got to play it carefully. He doesn't want to ruin any chance. Jake Marsh goes round the outside. It's so close between the pair. Sam Lewis goes off the circuit up the inside, heading into Malmedy. Marsh's life flashed before his eyes. So did Sam Lewis. Davies goes through. Big dive from Lewis McWilliam in the background. He's got Houseman and Sam Lewis on that one. Leroy Vinchendel up to fourth. Sam Lewis falling down the order very quickly here. And just like he was on the race start, it seems like Sam is really not good in these sort of hectic situations. It's his debut. We're going to let him off for the time being, but unfortunately Sam is down to 6th position. It's now Marsh, Davies, McWilliam, Vinchendel, Houseman, top 5 in this Grand Prix.
Very interested to see how these soft tires hold up. They should be nice enough now that they've low fuel, but I'd say McWilliam and Houseman on the mediums, they can go full tilt to the end of this race. Lap 21 and 22, particularly in lap 21, they could be able to set up a move by sticking close to cars in the middle sector.
Jake Marsh in a really good position in this Grand Prix. He got out of a second briefly. Luke burned a bit of battery and had a bit of extra straight line speed to keep with him. But if Luke and Lewis start battling here, Jake can sort of saunter off into the distance. And Spa-Francorchamps is a track Jake likes. For him to win here, I think it would mean a lot. I'd hope it would mean a lot because he's been trying for quite a long time to get a win in Formula Virtual Racing. But here we go then, up Eau Rouge and Radillon. We know how powerful this Slipstream and DRS is. Luke still has very good pace in this Grand Prix and he's gaining. He's gaining and Luke means business here in Spa-Francorchamps. Jake defends to the inside. Luke doesn't seem to be close enough. Is he going to go for something rash or reckless? No, sits behind for the time being. Lewis not able to keep up with Luke on the straights. That McLaren is swift in a straight line, I can tell you that for sure. Probably running a bit more straight line speed than Jake Marsh. Further down the order, it was Xavier Maynard who is falling down the order for AlphaTauri. Unfortunately, AlphaTauri not looking like they're going to get any points here today, which is unfortunately at least 1-0 is the total for the season. Pistilli and Anderson fighting over 8th for Scuderia Ferrari. Jake is a lot better through the corners here. If he can just get enough through the corners to stay in front on the Kemmel straight, he could win this Grand Prix. But Luke, he's in a very interesting spot here. Of course, he would like to still beat Lewis McWilliam on circuit, but I wonder if him and Lewis just sort of swapped positions, would he be able to get closer to Jake Marsh? But we will wait and see. Jake very quick through the corners, but is definitely struggling on the main straight. He's dropping time very quickly, heading in towards the bus stop.
Yeah, you see the different prioritising is working it well enough for Marsh because he might just have a better balance than McWilliam has.
Liam Houseman picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, it'll be annoying for him, particularly as it looks like Wongfi maybe the one who jumps from 9th to 5th.
Yeah, Wongfi's going to be a beneficiary of that. Sorry for jumping over you, Brendan.
Well, keep an eye in here. Davies is close to Marsh, and he can really get an overtake done here.
Here he goes.
McWilliam getting a double toe. You might see him go for a move too on that.
Here he goes! To the outside goes McWilliam, becomes the inside. Who's leading into the corner? It's Davies, then it's McWilliam, then it's Marsh, then Shendel on the inside into Malmedy. There's contact between the two, then Shendel half spin. Has to catch it, we've seen that a few times through that corner today. It's 1 and 2 in the championship, 1 and 2 in the Grand Prix. They've had very different races, but it's Luke Davies who leads ahead of Lewis McWilliam. You know, Jake dropping to third here might not be the worst thing, but he's got to try keep with them. It seems like the pace advantage is in Luke and Lewis's hands here, but Jake's just got to try keep with them. Maybe hope that there's a bit of contact potentially between Luke and Lewis. Maybe hope that they run wide through a handful of corners and he can just swoop into the race lead, but we'll wait and see. It's not always the best thing to be leading on to the last few laps here in Spa-Francorchamps. Pistilli gets past Liam Houseman. Seems like the mediums are working for McWilliam, but not for Houseman. Houseman falling a handful of spaces now. Good race this by Tyndon Hire. He's up to 5th, but gonna fall at least one spot maybe due to that penalty. Here comes Lewis McWilliam, 0.2 of a second behind Luke Davies. Battery very equal as they're entering in towards the bus stop. Neither are regenerating, but neither are in the most comfortable position in the world. Jake is unfortunately a little bit less, but that's because he did have to catch up after being overtaken a couple of times. Lap 20 out of 22 here at the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa-Francorchamps. If you're enjoying the action, make sure to pop a subscription on the Formula Virtual Racing YouTube channel, and you've got to be enjoying the action because this is just pure chaotic Grand Prix racing. Up towards Rouge and Radillon for the 20th time out of 22. It seems like Lewis not burning his battery. There's no panic on board the Mercedes. Vincendel going to go for the spot on Marsh here, though. Marsh doesn't want to fall any further down than he has to. Leroy Vincendel on the inside. Lewis McWilliam goes straight up in front. Lewis McWilliam leads the Belgian Grand Prix. You can see Marsh on the outside of the Aston Martin. Luke went for the switchback. Marsh still on the outside of Vincendel. Marsh still on the outside of Vincendel. Entering into Bruxelles, there's a half spin from the pair, and Jake Marsh's win chances have just slid away from him.
Yeah, a little contact just cost him. He'll still keep 4th, which is not a bad result by any means, but there was a win to be had there.
Yeah, when you're in a position like Jake's, you just want to get pure results. You don't really care about championship points, you just want to get pure results. Of course, Williams will definitely enjoy the 4th place points, but he's still in DRS actually here. He's kept in DRS. I just automatically assumed it would be gone, to be honest, because of how drastic that skid was. But Brendan, you called it earlier, and I think you're absolutely correct. These soft tyres have not held up.
Yeah, well, that's actually... Sorry, I just seen Ricky... lose the car there, but while we ignore one Mercedes maneuver firing, we'll head to the other Mercedes, who is...
Oh, he's done it as well! Into the bus stop! Lewis McWilliam spins it! My goodness me! What hasn't this race provided? He locks up and completely loses it in very uncharacteristic style. Lewis McWilliam falls to 4th. What have you given us, Spa-Francorchamps? This is witchcraft here this evening in Formula Virtual Racing. The drivers who are usually faultless are the ones making the errors. Leroy Vincendel is going for the race lead here in Belgium. He's going to go for the outside of the McLaren and Luke Davies. Leroy Vincendel to the outside now. Can he get the job done? Oh, he easily can, but I don't think Luke's going to mind that in the slightest because he'll have the DRS for the final lap.
Yeah, he's in a good position now. And particularly even Marsh, although he is starting to lose whatever ERS he has. He's only got about 10%, so the red light will be flashing. McWilliam, yeah, you can see he's struggling now to get back there. Maybe the motivation's gone. There's another spinner. That is Sam Lewis.
Oh, so unfortunate.
And I think, well, Thomas Main's actually had a good recovery here because as it stands, he is going to jump up to 5th.
Yeah, he's got a benefit.
So, while could have won this race, like many others, he's probably made the best of a bad situation.
Wow.
However, for the other Aston Martin, this is probably the most important lap in his in the entirety of his FVR career. So,
I think we spoke too soon. Through the curve, Paul Frere, round goes the Belgian at his home Grand Prix, and I think we can call it quits on his title charge. Unfortunately, it's no points once again for Thomas Main. We enter the last lap here in Belgium. One man who's never won an FVR race, the man in third, hasn't won since season 5, and the man in second has won 3 of 5 this season. Here we go. Up Eau Rouge and Radion, two of the most famous corners in motorsport. Jake a little bit far back. Luke Davies in a good spot. He's going to go for the race lead. Vincendel looking to defend it. He's now red light flashing, less than 10% DRS. Davies to the outside, heading in towards the Lacombe chicane. He leads the Belgian Grand Prix over Leroy Vincendel in second. Luke Davies gets to the top of the order despite everything that's happened. Is there a last lap sort of lunge maybe into the bus stop on the cards for Vincendel? We'll wait and see what happened. He just got to keep it cool here though and try stick with Luke, heading through the X curve. Oh, he's had a bad line. Luke runs a little bit wide, but Vincendel in second. That's Borbune who picks up a 3-second time penalty. Davies heads into Pouhon. Vincendel still sticking with him. Marsh unfortunately out of play at this point, but it's still going to be a podium for Jake Marsh, who hopefully we'll get to hear from after the Grand Prix. Lewis, despite his lockup, is only 1.3 seconds off the podium in 4th spot. Luke is pulling away here as they enter in towards Stavelo for the final time and in towards the Courve Paul Frere. He's definitely pulling away. There's no dive on the cards here for Leroy Vincendel, but he knows well what happened to Luke Davies earlier on in this Grand Prix, and he knows well that this one could be decided in the steward's room. Into the bus stop chicane for the final time. Luke Davies was part of the majestical Mercedes 1-2 once upon a time here, but he's gone around and take his 4th win of 6 here in Formula Virtual Racing. Luke Davies wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Despite all the chaos, he comes home and takes the race victory. Wow, this was just something else. This was truly something else. Pistilli takes 5th. It's Vincendel 2nd. That could be a race win come the end of the evening. Then it's Marsh, McWilliam, Pistilli. Tishy takes 6th. It is then Den Heyer, Houseman, Borbune, and Xavier Menard will get points, finally, for AlphaTauri Formula 1. Wang Fei comes home in 11th, and it was Andrew Davis and Sam Lewis comes across the start-finish line. Where's my pillow? I need to lie down.
The race nobody wanted to win, and that made it continue after the race too.
Wow. My, oh my. I'm gonna hope we get a few interviews after that. I think you will too, because I think there's gonna be some fiery thoughts maybe from drivers. But wow, that's unbelievable. As a commentator, it's very rare that I'm speechless, but I think tonight could be one of those times, because there is got to be a lot to analyse and a lot to think about heading into Zandvoort. But my goodness me, you just got to watch and admire when league racing can provide such good racing like that. But that was something else, really. That was truly chaotic. I'll pop the text to Luke, Jake and Leroy and see, can we get them in for an interview. But here's your full race results then. It is Luke Davies ahead of Leroy Vincendel, Jake Marsh, Lewis McWilliam, and it is Tyler Pistilli, Adrian Tishy, Tim Den Heyer, Liam Houseman, Borbune and Xavier Menard, Then it is Wangfi Anderson, Andrew Davis, Sam Lewis, Thomas Main, Rick Debray, Vestigo Bardi, Enrique Perez, Lee O'Toole, Matthew Stotts and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. But wow, that was insane. Brendan, if you had to pick a driver of the day, it's going to be very difficult to do so, but if you had to pick one, who would you go for?
I honestly might give it to Leroy, because he did nothing wrong all race really. He did the best he could. He made the best of every situation, and now, pending a post-race investigation, he could be his first ever win in Formula Virtual Racing.
Investor confirming that he did outbrake himself, and that's what happened with Luke Davies. It wasn't like a vicious attack or anything, but we assume so. Right, let's bring him in then. We've heard from him a couple of times this season, I think. Let's bring in your race winner, Luke Davies. Hello, Luke. Can you hear us? You are on mute, by the way, Luke.
Just responding back.
Luke, congratulations on the race victory. It was a bit of a different one compared to Qatar. It was a little bit chaotic. I say a little bit, maybe massively. But what are your thoughts on that race?
I mean, to be honest, it was honestly, genuinely one of the most hectic races that I've ever been a part of in this league, and I say that I say that quite a lot, but genuinely, it felt like everything was kind of gravitating towards me today. I honestly, near the beginning of the race with Lee and Lewis, I genuinely do not know what happened, and I think they moved over on me on the straight. I was still there. Both of them kind of converged into me, but I'll put my hands up if I think I'm at fault for something, but I don't think I had. That incident was really my fault. I don't know, but yeah, it was then contact with Thomas, but I think I left him room and he dived out the inside. So to be honest, that was kind of living in the back of my mind for most of the races. Am I going to get a penalty? I need to watch these back, but yeah, safety car came out. I wanted to do a medium soft, so I didn't really want to go on the hard, but I knew if I didn't go on the hard, then I probably would have just been pretty much out of the race. So it was the right choice. And obviously a safety car came out. We all pit for softs. It allowed me to close up to Jake. And yeah, I mean, I had amazing pace in the race compared to qualifying, which I didn't really expect. And honestly, yeah, to come through with a win and in the way that I did with the battle that I had is fantastic.
Well, you mentioned the incident. It was, of course, between yourself, Lewis McWilliam, and Sam Lewis. What's your standpoint on it? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go for the double move, but I had a lot of overspeed coming up on both Lewis and Lee, and yeah, I just kind of I backed off, but then I saw there was a gap opened up, and it was open, so I then put my foot down, DRS, ERS, try to go into it, and then both of them kind of, I don't know if they knew or I don't know if they thought I wasn't there anymore, but my front wing was definitely in the gap. We were all in the straight, full throttle. So they both kind of converged into me, and then it's a really funny instant to kind of look at. They both collided, and I don't know how I got away with damage, with no damage. Sorry, but yeah, it was a very weird incident. I am gonna have to watch it back, but I don't think I was at fault. I think it's just unfortunate coming together again with a damage model. It doesn't help, but yeah, I don't think it was my fault at the end of the day.
Obviously, we've got a steward's report coming up, but if we just go based off provisional results, you take an extra 20, Avesta and Thomas take a 0. Is it simply just a case of just controlling this championship to the end now? Because we can't hide away from the fact that you are the clear favourite by quite a margin.
I mean, I'm not going to deny I'm the favourite because that would be stupid. But I just have to, I mean, I need to check out exactly how many points I am ahead now. But, it's just going to be closing out the remaining races. I mean, 4 wins out of 6 it's not bad going. I really want to keep up that form. And, yeah. It's kind of, again, I'm just taking it week by week. I'm not really focusing on the championship. I just look at the race at hand, and that's worked pretty well for me so far. So yeah, I'm happy with how it's going. Hopefully it stays that way.
Luke, before we bring in Jake, one more less serious question for yourself. Who's the best clothing company in the world?
Oh, that would have to be Simulus Clothing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, folks. Make sure to get your FVR merch. Right, let's bring in Jake and Lewis. Not Jake and Lewis, Jake and Leroy, apologies. Jake and Leroy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Well, Jake, it was in some parts a case of what could have been, in some parts a case of wow, that was a good performance. It's another podium. We're glad to have you back here in the interview room. And what's your thoughts on that race? It was a messy one from all standpoints, but what's your thoughts on that one?
What could have been, absolutely. To be honest, I'm not unhappy with my performance because I was never ever comfortable with the car I was driving, so I wasn't pushing 100% all because I was scared of spinning. The safety car, which ruined my 3-second lead, was obviously very frustrating because I didn't have any warnings and I was really looking after my tyres, so I think I would have gone on to win from there. I was generating the same, if not better, lap times than the cars around me, but I was doing it in the middle sector, and the DRS and the slipstream is so strong at Spa. And obviously you use more ERS when you've got high wings. So I just couldn't do anything. I mean, I hope, well, without meaning to be disrespectful, I hope the cars ahead get penalties, but I don't think Leroy did anything wrong. I don't know if I could have defended for longer from him. You know, I made a mistake where I locked the rears into the downhill right-hander while going side by side. Sorry if I gave him wing damage, by the way. That was totally my mistake. But I think a podium at the very least is something to be happy with how, you know, and not spinning is an improvement for me. And I finished on the podium in both the races I finished this season. So yeah, it's if buts and roundabouts.
Brendan, any questions? Also, apologies for you watching at home if you missed a little bit of our interview. My software decided to self-destruct for about 4 seconds.
Yeah, Jake, so you were leading RS by about 4 seconds before that last safety car came. You were on medium, so do you think they would have held on against the
Easy.
hard tires?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My car was 1,000 times better on mediums than it was on hards. Already the strategy wanted me to pit on lap 10 to go to the end, and we had 2 laps under safety car, which came out on lap 7. So maybe he would have started pulling it back at the end, but it was fairly comfortable. But you know, it happens. It's FVR. There's always safety cars. Well, not unfortunately, it makes the races exciting, and I always knew it was going to happen eventually.
Well, thank you very much, Jake, for joining us. We do greatly appreciate that. Now we're going to go for a man who takes his second FVR career podium. Leroy, you are on mute in case you didn't realise, but it is a second career podium for you, Leroy. It was once again a controversial race for everybody, but what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was quite happy to race at all. Of course, having issues before joining the race, I couldn't race because my PlayStation didn't allow me to do. But yeah, then I was happy to get in on the second account. I had to install all the settings from my first account, which was quite a struggle. And then I got to set one lap in quali P6, so I was quite happy, of course. And then in the race, I had quite decent pace. It was very surprising for me, at least. And then I kept up with the guys ahead, and some things happened. As you said, it was quite chaotic. And in the end, a good battle with Luke and Jake managed to overtake Jake. And then Luke got me in the end. But yeah, I'm happy with P2 and happy with the points for Aston Martin. So
obviously, we're not going to distract ourselves from the elephant in the room. You could well be in for your first race win if Luke gets a penalty. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, first we have to see, you know, it's only provisional for now for Luke. And then we'll have to see if he gets a penalty. But nonetheless, I'm happy with P2 and I'm happy with the points for Aston Martin, the team. I didn't expect to be in this position anyway, so everything that's extra is cool by me.
Brendan, any questions?
So see, it wasn't looking like you had that much outright pace. You were generally at the front, yes. It's just overall, like particularly in the middle of that race, when you fell down the order a little, you had house. Did you think maybe you were on pace with Luke and Jake, or were you just happy to be where they were, or you were in comparison to them?
Yeah, well, I saw I had the pace, and then I picked up some wing damage, so I had to pit and change my wing. But yeah, in the end, I'm really just happy to be in this position. But yeah, it was quite a surprise that I had the pace with Luke. But yeah, I was happy to have the pace and to get P2 and just follow them.
Well, thank you very much, Leroy. We do greatly appreciate you joining us, and we're very happy that you managed to join us here this evening, because it was looking a bit worrying for a period of time. But thank you very much for your interview once again. Well, folks, that's all we do have time for here. Unfortunately, me and Brendan are IndyCar fans, so you know we're going to watch that. But thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Belgium brings very interesting racing. And your support is greatly appreciated always on the streams. If you want to find out whether one or two men who are still in the Discord call, Luke and Leroy, actually won the Grand Prix, make sure to follow our social channels where everything will be posted as quickly as you know it. From myself and Brendan, stay safe, stay well, and bye-bye. This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.